All right, that's it. All done with setup. I know it took a while. I know it was a little bit laborious and a little bit confusing, but we're done with it and we don't have to do it again, which means now we can focus on our first application. So I'm here inside of my project directory, which we called albums. And inside of here, I'm going to open up my code editor. Once my code editor is open, we're going to do a very quick walkthrough through some of the project files that were generated when we generated our project using the React Native CLI. On the left-hand side, we're going to walk through some of those different files. Now I know that the text over here is really small, but we're just going to do a very quick walkthrough and just be done with it. I just want you to be aware of what's in here when we make a React Native project. First is the two folders, Android and iOS. Both of these contain the respective files required to build our React Native application on either platform, so either Android or iOS. It's very rare that we're ever going to have to deal with the contents of either of these folders. For the most part, we're going to be, well, I shouldn't say for the most part, I'm going to say 100% of the time, we're not going to be delving into those project directories and finagling with anything. The only time when it becomes relevant to mess with those project directories is if we want to make a modification to the project on a very low-level scale, which only very rarely occurs. We're much more concerned with what is outside those two project directories, excuse me, those two folders. The third folder in here is the node modules directory, and that's where all of our project dependencies are stored. So for React Native, there are a tremendous number of dependencies. You can scroll through here and see all these different folders in here, each of which represent one different dependency. Again, we're not going to have to deal with that folder at all. By default, you generally do not touch your node modules directory at all because it's all installed dependencies, and you really have no good reason to ever go modify those directly. The two files that we're going to be most concerned with inside this course, besides the other ones that we create, are going to be the index.android.js and the index.ios.js files. If you open both these files, you'll notice that by default they are totally identical, and that's pretty interesting. The purpose of these two folders, or excuse me, those two files, are to serve as entry points for our applications. Whenever I build my React Native application for Android, when the application first boots up, it's going to execute all of the code inside of index.android.js. Likewise, when I install my application on an iOS device, it's going to run all the code in index.ios.js. So these two files start off as identical, but we might customize them over time to better suit the platform that we are developing for. For this course, all the applications that we build are going to be as homogeneous across platforms as possible, so we're not really going to have to spread a lot of configuration or a lot of special stuff into one file or the other. The only catch here that you need to be concerned about as a developer is know that for the purposes of this course, if you are on iOS, if you're developing for iOS, so like if you've got the iOS simulator open right now, you are going to be placing all of your code inside of index.ios.js. And likewise, if you are developing for Android, you'll put it in Android.js. That's all you need to know for right now. So again, these are the entry points for our application. Just to make it really, really clear about what's going on here, I'm again a huge fan, I'll repeat this 1,000 times, of learning every single line of code that goes on inside your application and understanding what every line of code does. So to start off, for our first application, I don't want to use any of this boilerplate code that was given to us. I want to learn how everything occurs from just a total blank slate. All right, that's our goal here. We want to be able to build an application from absolute scratch. So inside of both these files, I'm going to highlight everything with Command A, and I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to go back over to the index.ios.js file, and I'm going to delete it all here as well. So we're going to start truly from a blank slate. Let's continue in the next section and start with our application.